The crisis on the peninsula is now over. Both the North and the South have done what I thought would be the best way to end the situation, and that is to make two small concessions each. The DPRK said they regret the injury caused to the South Korean soldiers by the mine, and the South ended the propaganda broadcasts against the North. Both sides in this made a very small gesture, but managed to save a large amount of face. Both of them. While the DPRK is not responsible for the mine that went off, and in my previous video on the subject, I said that I believe that it was actually a US mine. Kim Jong-un is now not forced to back up his word by invading the country. And that's really what we see here, is that while both sides painted themselves into a corner, it was the DPRK who painted themselves into the worst corner. Kim Jong-un made the declaration that he was going to declare war on the country, a threat that he has to back up, he has to carry out, or he would lose a great deal of face in both domestic and international politics. Few people realize how dangerous this situation was and how close we came to a war on the peninsula. The United States was considering, and I think ended up giving the order to send nuclear-armed submarines to the area. Not nuclear-powered, nuclear-armed, as in they had nuclear weapons. The DPRK was said to have mobilized almost its entire army, even sending artillery all the way up to its side of the DMZ in preparation for firing upon the South. This situation could have gotten out of hand very, very quickly if even a slight mistake had been made. If somebody had accidentally set something off, or some kind of slight insult was made by one side or the other, we could have been looking at a war on the peninsula as we speak. But thankfully, in this situation, calmer has prevailed. Probably a great deal of what led to this situation being diffused was the tremendous shock to Asian stock markets. The financial class of the capitalist class of Asia certainly got a taste of what war might be like. In particular, China. The Shanghai Stock Exchange suffered an 8.5% drop in just an hour. Now that's actually pretty significant given the fact that it only happened within the first hour of trading. A lot of that had to do with the instability, probably very much people who had invested in the special economic zones in the north, worried that, these areas would become greatly affected if a war was to actually break out. Frankly, in this situation, had a war broken out between the two countries, nobody would have won. There just would not have been any real winner. Most probably there would be a massive barrage of artillery by the DPRK upon the South, crippling much of their command structure right away. At that point, then North Korean forces would then Zerg rush the country and try to capture as much territory as quickly as possible. At that point, they would occupy as much of the country as possible and then send a warning to the US government that if they send forces, or if they were to launch any nuclear weapons against the DPRK, that they would then turn around and fire one at a US ally, perhaps Japan, Australia, or another close by US ally. And that situation obviously would not be very good. In other words, nobody would really win in this situation, but there would be a slight chance the DPRK could come out slightly better. But in the long run, no. Everybody, all sides would lose in a war. That's just the way geopolitics is set up at this time. That's just the way military technology of the various sides are set up. We're actually very thankful that a war did not break out in this time, because I don't think the DPRK would have been able to weather it very well. We have this situation entirely to thank for South Korea, who massively overreacted to a mine injuring people in an area that's known to be mined. The DMZ has mines in it. The US placed their own mines on the South Korean side of the DMZ. It should not be a shock that a soldier was injured by a mine in a known minefield. But then again, that is the way international politics plays out, particularly with regards to imperialism. If you like this video and you'd like to see more of them, then head over to my Patreon page and show your support. Or you can go to the MRN bookstore and check out some of the latest books available. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, and share on various social media.